Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming. So we have some big breaking news today. It seems Square Enix has sold off some of their studios, including Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, which means a lot of their IPs have been sold to the Embracer Group, including IPs such as Tomb Raider. So I just saw this on Twitter from Square Enix. Square Enix just posted the sort of, Word document, but the Embracer Group has gone into more detail. And I just wanted to chat about this because we are seeing a lot of acquisitions here and there, and wanted to see how this acquisition goes. Because on paper, it seems it's a good deal for the Embracer Group. Now, first of all, you're probably thinking who the Embracer Group is. Embracer Group is the parent company of THQ Nordic. They were called THQ Nordic. They started calling themselves Embracer in 2019. So, formerly known as, but THQ Nordic is still there as a publisher. They wanted to change it to avoid confusions. They have done a lot of games. They have a lot of studios. You can see here Saints Row, Goat Simulator, Dead Island, Darksiders, Metro, MX vs. ATV, Kingdoms of Amalur, Time Splitters, Satisfactory, Wreckfest, Insurgency, World War Z, Borderlands. So they own all of these. A lot of studios. You can see 850 plus IPs, 10 operative groups, 119 development studios. These are some of their main studios. You can see THQ Nordic. So you have the Darksiders games. You have a lot of other older games. Koch Media. So they have Metro series, for example. Coffee Stain. So we have Satisfactory, Goat Simulator, and I think the one with the dwarves, the multiplayer game, what is it called again? Deep Rock Galactic. I think that's also part of this one. I'm not too familiar with Amplifier, Saber Interactive, of course, World War Z. We also have SnowRunner, and the new Warhammer game is also made by Saber Interactive. So yeah, Gearbox, of course. So quite a lot here is based out of Sweden. Now let's read the big announcement here. So here, this is today's 2nd of May. Embracer Group has entered into an agreement to acquire the development studios Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, and a catalog of IPs including Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and more than 50 back catalog games. Now, I wish they had gone into more detail about the 50, but these are quite big deals, especially Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, as you all remember, not too long ago, on the Epic Games Store, we got the latest trilogy for free. Deus Ex, they haven't done a game since Mankind Divided because they wanted to do the Avengers. So they left it hanging kind of. Thief, they tried to reboot Thief again back in 2013 or something. They did, but it didn't work out. Legacy of Kain, this is probably my favorite IP that they have sold, and I hope they do something with this because this is one of the landmark series in gaming in terms of storytelling, voice acting, things like that. It was originally written by Amy Hennig, the writer for the Uncharted series, but they haven't done anything with Legacy of Kain for almost 20 years. The last Legacy of Kain game came out in 2003. I remember pre-ordering it, a physical version. That's how long ago it was. Steam wasn't a thing. So yeah, they haven't touched that IP in years. So at least they're selling it to someone who might do something with it. Now, the surprising thing, of course, is Tomb Raider is also gone. Because there was a new Tomb Raider game in development. Right now, there's a new Tomb Raider game being developed, and they sold it. So I wonder how that will go. Obviously, Tomb Raider is the big IP here, so obviously they're not going to take Tomb Raider and not do anything with it. So they'll probably continue development, and there'll be a new Tomb Raider game. I hope they boot the others as well, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, because they all had some, like 20 years ago, all 4 of these were still around, obviously, and they were all very, very well received games. The original Deus Ex was a huge success. Tomb Raider was successful back then. Legacy of Kain, even people like me were waiting and pre-ordering. Thief was a very popular stealth series. Now, the other surprising thing is the total purchase price amounts to $300 million on cash and debt-free basis to be paid for in closing. So they bought all of this for only 300. Now, to be fair, only Tomb Raider is the franchise here that is currently popular and making any money. They haven't touched Deus Ex for 6 years. Same for Thief and Legacy of Kain. So they're not really making any money out of this. Now, the other surprising thing is I thought Square Enix was just selling off all their Western studios and just keeping the Japanese ones. But they have kept some of the Western studios. Like they still have Outriders, and they still have Life is Strange. And I think they have one other studio that still is under their ownership. But they have sold Tomb Raider, so that's like the big surprise. So they've given a bit of like their rationale behind the acquisition, and basically they're saying that it's a big, well-known IP. All these games are very famous, popular, and we would like to see more being done with that, and we hope we can make something blah blah blah. So yeah, that's expected. I think they got a good deal. 300 million for Tomb Raider plus, I don't know, 50 plus games, including Deus Ex. I'm really hoping they get Deus Ex restarted and Legacy of Kain. Now, Legacy of Kain is not an easy franchise to deal with because there's a lot of stories and the multiple games in the series and stuff like that. So I hope they can sit down and make it linear and make a good story out of it. But Deus Ex, they just left it hanging because they wanted to do the Avengers. Let me just check what else I missed. So this is the Word document from PDF from Square Enix. As you can see, it's much more business-like, and they've shown all the stuff. Yeah, the game that I forgot was Just Cause. So they're keeping Just Cause, they're keeping Outriders, and they're keeping Life is Strange. Of course, there might be some other smaller stuff, but in the deal, the Embracer Group got Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, Deus Ex, Thief, and 50 plus. Now, I want to know what the 50 plus games are and what they're planning to do with it. But yeah, it is interesting. What do you think? I'm just surprised they sold Tomb Raider and only 300 million. So they really wanted to get rid of a lot of their Western studios. They probably wanted to keep Tomb Raider, but without Tomb Raider, the deal wouldn't have been interesting enough for the Embracer Group. All right, these guys seem interested in rebooting these series, and I hope they do something with some of the games. Let's see. But yeah, let me know what you think of this big deal. I think they got a bargain at 300 million, or considering how much Sony paid for Bungie and some of the other deals, billions being paid for Activision. I mean, of course, they are much bigger and make more money. Activision, Blizzard, and then the Bethesda acquisition. Yeah, so 300 million for Tomb Raider is not bad. Because if they market it properly, they could probably make 100 million out of Tomb Raider in no time. So yeah, business-wise, this makes a lot of sense. Anyway, let's see what the future holds for these franchises. I hope they make a decent games out of these, especially the older ones. And Tomb Raider was in active development. That's what I've learned. I mean, I knew about that, but it's written here. So they sold even though they were making a new Tomb Raider. Interesting. Anyway, let me know what you think, and yeah, thank you for watching.